Yes.
Kano, you need to get that game.
Mordhau.
Medor?
Mordhau.
Mordhau, dude.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it, dude. It's fun.
Like, I'll send you clips, but like me and
I've
this
seen
one
the
dude.
clips. I watched your
Oh,
stream, remember?
Oh yeah. What was it yesterday? I was sucking his dick. The same
Remember
guy
I subscribed?
I do remember.
Oh,
The guy-
Ooh.
damn, doesn't remember
Rich got his
his
first
fucking
sub from me. He
subscribers.
talked
It
me
was a
into doing it
resub,
today. That
bitch. It
fucking
wasn't even a
cocksucker.
sub. It was a resub.
A resub is a sub.
Bro,
What do you think
you
that
have,
is?
you have to you have to respect a resub. Like
do
a
resub.
resub should be better than a first subscriber because I continued liking your content.
True.
Since we are
And if you
talking
pay,
about
then it
Ah.
automatically keeps
nobody
upping.
talked about my potential emotes here that I'm having made.
Oh, let's see, babe.
I sent them to you. It's right below the tiger beams. It's in the
But yeah,
chat.
Kano, you need to get Mordhau. It's an amazing game.
It
dude.
is. It's pretty fun.
It's
No
phenomenal.
llamas.
It's right below the Don
It's a
Lewis
good
one
time.
that
I'm
Rolls
horrible at it.
Leash
It's one of the there's not many games out there where if you absolutely suck, you still have a blast.
It's literally just pure unadulterated chaos.
Yeah, dude, you
Like
let
like
somebody
video
lays on the
game
ground, you're
players.
dead, and you just go up to him,
I
you start
suck at
chopping their
Halo
fucking
Five.
arms and legs off and shit.
Just keep it with a longbow.
There's gameplay for everyone though. See, he sucks at melee, but he just plays with a bow. Like,
I'm pretty nasty with that bow though. I'll fuck you up.
Big bag,
Yeah,
dude.
I gotta say, that motherfucker, I kept coming at him, and then he fucking shot me with 2 arrows as I'm ducking and dodging, and then he fucking takes out his fucking mallet and goes, and I was done. And then you learned to fight. That was the best thing we ever did, was go and fucking fight each other like that. I feel like Rich can't do that though. Yeah, Rich can't do that though, because I feel like at night when nobody else is on, he sits there for 9 hours and grinds, and somehow is at level 100 playing the same amount as everybody else.
But here's the thing, like the one dude who was in my stream giving us tips, he was in his stream just basically calling him a bot.
We're calling Rich a bot.
Well, yeah, because Rich doesn't do anything but swing. He doesn't parry.
Really?
He doesn't try fainting.
Yeah, and that's how I always died, by those guys
doesn't-
that just come up and go, wow, wow, wow.
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, I know he's one of those guys, but the thing to beat them is to be mildly defensive. And what I do is like, I'll feint, I'll chamber, I'll parry, I'll fucking.
I don't know what you're saying. I just know how to press the buttons.
He's watched a lot of YouTube. Relax, he's a
He
professional
has.
now.
No. That's what I learned from my stream though. A chamber is when you mirror their attacks, so then it ends up blocking it, and you can still hit them. A repost is when you parry their attack.
Listen, if I could do this with it, it'd be different. I'd pick it up much quicker. This is so much. Plus, I got 33-year-old carpenter hands, bro. For me to go from like this to this is hard. Do it for another 10 years, and then you'll understand why.
Say that for 10 years.
Yeah, there you go. He's got military working hands. Kato's gonna be you start doing it now, you'll get the adjustment.
10 more years of construction.
But it's so hard.
Done, I know.
It's so hard. Like going from this to like, it's just, it hurts. That's why I said I love this so much after the laptop. It's so much more comfortable.
Yeah, I know.
I'll say the biggest like going through a fucking job change, man, where you have to be more professional and like talk to people differently. Because I work with like civilians and shit like that, bro. This shit is so fucking hard.
That's the hardest part of it.
Because I'm used to like fuck every other word. Like, yeah, man, it's fucking like dope. Like, fuck that. And I'll just go on and on and on and on. And then now I'm working like fucking civilian HR, and I go in there to like do like some paperwork. I'm like, yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Like,
and you had to get
I totally agree. Yeah,
dude.
Like, bro,
I've been out of work for 3 months. I can't wait to go back to work.
So real quick for llamas, right? So this master sergeant I just met, yeah, dirty out back. Oh, I see
dirty some bitch.
Who'd you call him, a llama?
Yeah, because there's no llamas on that emote, which I love. And when I subscribe to you, when you get these emotes.
I was just saying, those emotes are fire. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, so there's this master sergeant, right? And this dude's like all stacked out. Potato. There's this master sergeant, right? He was all stacked up. He just got to the hospital. He's
it's
like,
gonna be fun.
And I'm like standing, like talking to him at parade rest, like Roger master sergeant. And he's like, bro, relax. I'm like, Okay, so I relaxed. He's like, bro, this, bro, that. Like,
Oh,
he's
that was
like,
that night that you were hanging out and you had to go handle that
Yeah.
shit?
Well, it's just weird, and like, and you're in a civilian setting now, so that's why they're relaxing all of this
Yeah,
because they don't want.
Oh,
it.
Shady was dealing with that night, right?
yeah,
Ah, I
And
remember.
probably.
Dude.
but it's weird. Like, okay, so I got a kind of a fun story for you. I was how old was I? 19. I was 19. I was fresh out of AIT, and I was on post living with my wife, and it's my first assignment, whatever. And you're fresh out. Everything's
Mhm.
super strict in
Mhm.
training, as it always is. It's always super strict.
Yep.
You get to your unit, things relax a little bit, but you're still kind of in that super strict phase. And so he's like, "Hey, we're having a little get together at my place tonight for the UFC fights. If you want to come, I don't care if you drink." And he only lived a few houses down from me, so it worked out great. He's like, "I don't care if you drink, just make sure you have a ride home." And I was like, "Cool." So I showed up with a bottle of 7 and 7. So I'm there and I'm chilling. I'm there for like 5 minutes, and I'm a shit talker by nature. Like, it's just what I do. But so Sergeant Walthall, who was there, apparently took a beer bong earlier in the night, and I was like 2 drinks in at this point of my 7 and 7. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. 2 shots of Patron and I'll fucking fill the thing up with liquor. And I was just talking out of my ass. But they took that literal. So and it didn't help that like they had a rule there where if you use ranked, you had to take a shot. So I forgot that I was like 3 or 4 shots in already off of that.
My bad, Sergeant.
Yeah, my bad, Sarge. And he's like, what was that? Up, shot, I'm like, fuck, this is not fair. Anyway, so literally they pour 2 shots of Patron immediately. And I'm like, fuck, I was just kidding, guys. Like, I'm not trying to take a beer bong full of liquor right now. And so he's like, nope, take these 2 shots. So I take these 2 shots, turn around, and they put 151. It was like Mad Dog, Crown. It was like 4 different liquors.
It was like everything. It was like
beer
everything
bong
that's there, right?
and
Like
liquor.
Whatever they could grab.
And he starts he's like, everybody, come on, outside. Let's go outside. So we fucking take this beer bong outside, full of liquor. And I'm like, everybody's staring at me now. I'm like, fuck, I gotta do this.
I gotta do it.
I take it all to the head. I take it all. And like a fucking champ. I'm surprised I held it down. And I was like, god damn. Okay. So this is at like 8:30.
Yep. Sounds like a military party.
Yeah, this is like at 8:30, and the last thing I can remember, like the main event hadn't even started yet, and I was drinking my bottle of 7 straight at this point because I couldn't taste anything.
Yeah.
And I'm tasting, and I couldn't put the lid back on, and I kept trying to put the lid back on the bottle, and I looked at my buddy, and I was like, hey, "Can you put this back on?" Fucking passed out. So apparently I didn't pass out. I just blacked out. Started throwing up all over my feet. So my wife comes and gets me, and they take me home. My buddy and my wife take me home, and like I kind of come to for a second. And he's like, "This is why privates don't have nice things." And he's like throwing a towel at me, and they wash me off. And apparently, that like they said for the rest of the night, because I started spitting on my headboard. I just go like that.
What the fuck?
Whoa.
So they're like,
Mad
"Spit
Dog
this
will get
fucking
you
towel."
right.
They're like, "Spit this fucking towel." So I'd roll over, spit in the towel, and then roll over and pass back out. And that's what I did. And yeah, that was pretty much my introduction to the Army.
Yeah. I think everybody
Sounds
has,
fun.
the
I'm good.
military. Like the military now, that's considered hazing. But like the military that like I started with, that's normal, man. Like I miss that shit so much. Now you can't hang out with fucking like soldiers and shit like that. And, man, it's the Army for a while, and I think to a certain point still is just a giant fraternity, man. It's just like a constant fucking drinking fest. And back to that story you were telling earlier about the whole like fucking worst post you've ever been to. Dude, Fort Knox now with only HRC during CST for all the cadets that are training. That's the most fit drunk I have ever been. 2 hours at the gym, right? After my shift, go hit the gym for like 2 hours, and then White Claws and vodka. just fucked up. Like you take
Ugh.
like the White Claw like this, right? So this is Truly, but take the White Claw, you drink like I don't know, like a 5-second soft pull off it, pour vodka in it, put your thumb over it, give it a little shake.
That's
Woo.
crazy.
That shit'll get you right, man. That shit'll get you right.
I'm
I didn't
good,
even know,
bro.
like-
I've never been a big drinker though. I've never been
See,
like all my friends, and even though when I tried, I've always had a fast metabolism, so I've never been able to get myself to the point where I
That's
can't
what I'm
remember.
saying, like,
I
that makes me
puke
wild
and then I
when
need to go to
working
sleep.
out. Right,
So
I'm
I'll-
like getting buzzed and shit. I'm
What
like,
was that sleeping pill that was real popular? It's not really
Lube,
popular.
Quaalude.
Not Quaalude. That's just the legal
It's a
sleeping
hey,
pill that you
it's
can
a
get.
sleeping. It's a sleeping pill. I don't
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
you-
That's not the one I'm talking about.
Xanax?
Ambien?
Ambien.
Ambient
There
challenge.
was a point in the army where I would literally take 2 tramadol and an Ambien with 2 shots of Jaeger, and then go out
Oh,
and get hammered. And that was how
Yes.
my night started in the military.
Woo.
That was before I left the house at 6:30, 7:30 at night.
no, thank you.
I like that.
So you guys are gonna catch me whenever you guys are still doing podcasts. I'm gonna be out at a training event or over fucking doing CST for 3 months over at Fort Knox, and I'll get on this shit when I'm fucking drunk.
That sounds like a good time.
It'll be a great time for y'all and me.
Wait, what are you
but
doing on Saturday? You and Carly?
So I have to work. So I'm working Friday night, Saturday night, and then I work for 6 hours on
Yeah, I was
Sunday
gonna
night.
say
Yeah.
because we're doing.
And my
we're
shift
doing one with
starts.
the ladies
yeah.
again.
My shift starts at 5.
The ladies.
She could still get on.
She could,
Yeah.
she could still come hang out.
That's the whole point. Is
My wife figured this shit out. Okay. I could download the app for her.
You could just-
Damn, that's savage.
Uh,
That is savage.
we could talk her through
she's
it if she
not-
could text.
My
She's
wife-
she's not electronic.
If it's linked and she just has to click on the Discord app or whatever it is, you know, and then just accept the call.
Everything that he's done in the past 3 months.
Yeah,
no.
right.
It's alright.
From Google incognito window. I'll leave it at that.
I've
I
made
don't
that
use
mistake
this for
before.
nothing.
Incognito window is your friend.
Nope.
Yeah.
My
Just
phone.
like, man,
the
I wanna
only
look at
place-
this,
That
incognito.
was me when I
Incognito.
was 13 and my fucking stepfather found me fucking looking at porn on his computer. I was like, well. And he's talking to me and my brother. He's just like, I know one of you guys did it. I'm not gonna tell your mother. Just don't do it again. And I'm looking there. I'm like, it wasn't me. And my brother's looking at me. He's like, bro, you gonna lie to him like that? And I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't tell him, man.
Bro, those simple. So I have an older brother that grew up with his dad. I have a younger sister who has Down syndrome. But at one point in my life, I grew up with 4 cousins. No, three cousins. There's 4 of us in total living with us. And I will
Damn.
say they're the closest thing I've ever had to like siblings, like living with you. And what you're talking about right there, that look that you get when like you know one of them's lying, and you like look at him like, you motherfucker, like you're gonna
Yeah,
make
that's literally
us
my
all
brothers.
take the fall for it. And then
That's
like
like my
you
brother.
you get back to the room and you're like, motherfucker, I know you did it, motherfucker. Like you're gonna fuck me.
I have 4 brothers and a little sister, so
I
I
got
know
Damn
I
it.
got a-
exactly what look you're talking about.
I got
Yeah.
a
And the,
twin brother and an older brother.
and the worst part was my little sister was the youngest out of all of us.
I got
I'm
one
the
brother,
second
dude.
youngest, and she was the biggest fucking shit out of all of us.
You guys want to
She
hear
got
some
us
shit?
all in more trouble than fucking any of my brothers
That's
and I.
that's
ever
my
did.
that's my twin brother. He's a fucking little girl.
My
so
brother's-
swear to
My
God.
brother's 5.5 years younger than me. So when he was 11, I was 16, and I sat him down. I was like, "Here, smoke this." And we did some real talk. All my friends were starting to do the hard drugs and becoming scumbags, stealing from their families and shit. And I explained life, and so he comes back to me a couple of years later, and he's like, "Ryan, I found this." And my mom had like a bag like that of just roaches. Just roaches. Hidden underneath the stairs in the basement. My brother had the good nose. He's like, "Oh, where was it?" We went and found it one day. And I'm like, "Alright, bro. Like, if you're gonna do it, take a roach. Smoke it, get high, That's it. Take a roach at a time." I go and I pinch a little bit over time. And one day, like a month later, my mom and dad are like, "Where the fuck is?" I'm like, "What are you?" Like, they would not say it was weed. There was something hidden downstairs for a long time, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about." That little motherfucker, though.
The whole ass bag.
And because I was like 19 at the time, my parents was like, "It's definitely him. It's definitely him." Meanwhile, that motherfucker took like a full ounce of roaches from my mom and just fucking took him into the woods and smoked him with all his
I
friends
was
or some
about to
shit.
say he probably like took it
Yes.
to like his boy's house.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we hung out in New Jersey. We just, especially where I am, we grew up in the woods, and it's not
Yeah.
like the Carolina woods or anything like that, or the Georgia woods, but there's still miles
like
and miles
7
of
trails
riding
from
trails,
no,
you
no,
know.
no, no, no. I understand. So where I grew up in California, it was the same shit. Like I'd go meet my buddies after school. We go smoke a cigarette. Like,
Yeah.
just go
It's all
eat some
old
good
farmland
foods.
here, and in the
Yeah,
70s they built all the towns for the baby boomers. So now they have, since I've been alive and can remember anything, they haven't built anything under a development of $5.5 million houses. But
That was your era. Like,
yeah, so I don't know, but it was awesome. But that
Pride is a
these
boomer.
motherfuckers,
fuck
we
you. Okay, boomer.
yeah. These motherfuckers, dude, everywhere we had tons of spots in the woods that we all had pickups and we would just drive,
I know.
meet in the woods somewhere before
Like
cell phones
trails.
and shit, like at the beginning of cell phones. We would all meet up somewhere, drive into the woods and just hang out, smoke weed all day, play airsoft, and then they fucking brought the
Suck each
cops to
other's
everyone,
I have a similar story.
burn the woods
but
down.
It's not as in depth as yours. Like, we didn't take any of it or anything like that. But when I was a kid, my mom lived in an apartment and we were broke as fuck. But anyway, I don't remember. I guess I was probably like 12, maybe 13. And we were jacking around the living room, and you know those old school speakers with the felt on the front, you know?
My dad had a set.
And I fucking bumped into it, and the fucking felt part fell off, you know? And there was a big bag of white powder in there.
I like that.
And so I snag it, and I'm like, "What is this?" And my mom's like, "That's soap." It snatches it out of my hand. Didn't think anything about it for a long time. Like, fuck, your kid. I didn't know what cocaine was. That's fucking
funny.
cocaine. That was 100% cocaine.
That's
Not a
funny.
doubt in my mind. But I still, to this day, have never called her on that, though. I
You
need to
should.
call her.
It'd be a fucking interesting
would-
conversation.
It's like when I found my dad's porno mags.
That's like
and my
$2,000 of cocaine you had right there, Mom.
Not
Like,
back
that's
then.
a
It
big
wasn't
bag.
$2,000.
So my dad's porno
Huh?
mags, my mom brought it up, and I was like, "Yeah, you know, I found those when I was 5 years old."
It's
She's like,
crazy,
"Yeah, I
man.
figured you guys were gonna find it anyways." Daddy hid it in a shitty spot. I'm like, "You knew we were gonna find it? What the fuck?"
A stack, no joke. This tall. No, and I'm like, there's no fucking way he knows if I take one from the middle of the stack. Like, there's no fucking way. Who the fuck, now that I'm older and I, like, even if I was to get magazines, like, when I didn't have a stack this tall, dude. I have a stack this tall, not fucking
Dude, yo, here's the crazy story.
as
So,
tall as your child is.
while I was still in high school, my dad was out of town or whatever one weekend. He's at his friend's fishing or whatever. My brother goes, "Yo, did you see Dad's porno magazine in his dresser?" I'm like, "There's no way he's got another like hidden. Like, bro, like you have a smartphone, just fucking go on Pornhub or something. What are you doing?" So I go in
Yeah.
his room, I go in his dresser, and I find it. It's a tranny mag, chicks with dicks everywhere. I was like, "No
Wow.
way,
That was a
bro."
cool dude.
I was about to say,
Yo,
it's like,
yo, here's the
very-
best part. Here's the best part. I told my mom about it, and she goes, "Well, he was into some weird shit, so I wouldn't be surprised." I was like, "Whoa!"
dude, that's like how it was with my dad's phone.
Imagine having your dad on stream.
My dad's a boomer. He wouldn't fucking know. He's a goon, dude.
So all
He's a
my
fucking
dad's
goon.
it's or like our phone in our house, right? Our landline was down, and I was trying to call my girlfriend. I think I was in like 8th grade, maybe like the beginning of freshman year. I was trying to call my girlfriend, right? Because I didn't have a phone, like cell phone to text her or whatever. So my dad's like, "Here, use my phone." So I used to go and like we had like this big ass like cupboard that had like a carpeted portion of it, so you could like sit on it. So I like went in there, to kind of get some privacy and talk to her. Like talking to her, or whatever, and I hang up the phone. We only talked for like 10 minutes. She had to go, and I get on my dad's phone, and I was like, "Bro, this would be perfect to watch porn on," right? So I'm like, so I go to the search bar, and I know about the whole like incognito and like all that like delete your history shit. So I'm like, I'm looking at something. I was like, "Oh, let me go delete the history." So I go to delete it, and I see that my dad's watching a bunch of like X hamster shit. Like, and that's what I like. I went to my first like porn site, not like the whole like you just like Google like free porn or whatever, like on Google, and then like click on the first one that pops up, like X hamster. And I'm like, I'm scrolling through it.
That's pretty good
Like,
shit.
But the shit that he's watching is like black girl takes 2 dicks, like shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck is my dad watching?
I'm so
And just, like,
happy we
going
had the
deeper.
fuzzy station on cable back in the day, and maybe you can get
Oh,
pictures on your
God,
computer in the living room.
My
You
older brother's
know?
friends who would stay
Just
the night
maybe.
late. My older brother's friends who would stay the night. I remember my mom would bitch at him because they'd buy porn on the fucking
Oh,
cable
dude.
box on all the channels.
I can't.
And she was like, your friend's gotta stop buying
This
porn.
is
And
why
he's
I'm
like,
happy I
"It's
have a
not me,
girl.
Mom. It's not me, Mom."
This is why I'm happy I
She's
have a
like, "I know
girl,
it's your
bro.
fucking friends."
I'm not gonna have to deal with that shit. Not gonna have to
No,
deal
but
with her
Oh,
friends.
are you? I'm pretty sure that there's like a big movement of like fucking girls watching
My
porn.
daughter saw porn already at like
It's kinda
6.
gross. No, what was
So
it? My mom was
I
telling
don't have
me,
to
she's
worry
like,
about her
"I
buying it
never-
because it was already
I
free.
never have daughters. because daughters fucking bitch too much, and like I don't know. Like the thing about having boys is yeah, they're energetic and stuff, but it's not like they're.
I would know how to. I don't know how to
constantly
discipline a
swinging
girl. I can't beat a girl.
That's what I'm saying. A boy
grew up
is easier,
fighting.
You just fucking
Yeah.
whack them.
I grew up fighting. No, my it's
I don't
and,
have any kids, but
dude.
if I did, I want boys.
And like I
I'm
tell
gonna-
you,
I'm gonna-
I grew.
I'd end up in prison if I had a daughter.
I'm gonna
If
tell
she
you.
was
I'm
a
gonna
boy.
tell you something that worked for me, and I know that the military does it a lot now. Take their time. So I only got like my ass beat a couple of times growing up, and my parents figured out for me like I didn't give a fuck about getting my ass beat like at all.
I was always this big.
It's
Same.
yeah.
I was always
made us-
6 foot
I didn't give a
tall,
fuck. Me and my dad
185
would go to
pounds.
each
You know.
Yeah.
They would make me stand in the corner and shit, and like I thought that was the most degrading fucking thing ever.
I
And I would
hated
act
that.
out,
I got the same thing.
bro.
Dude.
I knew how many knots were in the fucking corner of one of my house because we had like one
Yeah,
bed
that's the
window in
complete
them.
opposite of my childhood. My dad has literally thrown me through the back glass door.
That's awesome.
I've had a little bit of it all.
like a-
Different childhood. There was no standing in the corner. You were running for the fucking corner.
Yeah, I remember running up to my room and balling up in the corner of the bed like this, and just waiting for like 3 minutes before he got to my room, knowing I was gonna get my ass whooped. But that wasn't every time. That was when I really fucking deserved it. Now I know I deserved it, and he also deserved to get hit back when I got older. But like, you can't continue to whoop your kid's ass when he's 6 foot fucking tall and in high school and an athlete
That's
and
insane. Me and my
riding
dad-
BMX and playing
I'd start beating
football.
the
And
shit out of
you
my
you
dad.
can't still try to do it that way, and that was the last time.
My dad went to go
dad's like
grab my
6'4".
throat and I blocked
But
it.
I don't know,
Right
dude.
in my
It's
fucking throat. I was like, "Bitch."
I don't know. I grew up hanging out in the woods, fighting people, drinking. I was a rough kid, broken
Sucking
bones,
dicks,
and
you know?
getting home on your bike with a broken hand, you know, like. And she fucking, we'll go to see a fucking movie, just like a good movie. I'll watch chick flicks, and I'll fucking, like, did you see The Art of Racing in the Rain? I don't know, it was a movie, but anyway, it's a movie about
No,
the
I love
dude.
chicks, sorry.
It was a movie about the dude and his dog, basically, and it was like a Ford versus Ferrari type of story with the driver. But his wife gets fucking cancer, the dog fucking dies, and I'm fucking crying for 3/4 of it, and she's like, "Are you fucking crying?" She's done that to me, bro. Stay away from them babies. They do that shit to you. You think you're a hard motherfucker and you can deal with it? No.
You wanna-
Fucking
you wanna
horrible.
No,
I
it's
feel like
hard
such a
mom trying to
fucking-
pull up my dick.
Crying watching a movie. When I went and watched American Sniper. it
Oh, that's
took me 30
different, though.
minutes. It
I
took
love
me
that movie.
30 minutes
Different type
before
of
I
shit.
could leave the theater because I was sitting there, could not walk out of the theater.
Yeah, but
I
you
was
lived
trying
some
to
of that.
conceal it,
Or
'cause
know
I'm an
people.
adult, sitting here
sounds-
crying in public.
It sounds like you have PTSD and you need to see a
Fucking
counselor.
4-year-old. I'm sitting there crying, and Gabrielle, my wife, is sitting right next to me. It's okay. I was like, I know it's so fucking okay. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to gather
Bro,
myself.
that's such a dude thing. I know it's fucking okay. When my mom
You're
passed,
still crying.
my wife was like, "Hey, it's okay if you're crying," like, cause I'm bawling, right? Like I'm sobbing,
Yeah.
like I'm super upset, like it sucks, and like I hadn't talked to her, all that shit's going through your mind, right? Like I haven't talked to her enough. My
That's
wife's
what
like,
happened when my
"It's-
stepdad died.
it's-
Yeah.
it's okay if you're crying. I'm like, I fucking know it's okay. I think it's fine if I cry right now.
That's why I'm fucking crying, bitch.
We were all
Get the-
fucked up, huh? There
Get
you
the
go.
fuck away from me. I'm
we've all had
fine.
fucked up
It's
flags.
okay. I will get over this in my own time. Give me alcohol. I'm
Speaking
okay.
of that, have you talked to Shady at all?
Mhm.
Is he doing all right?
He's handling, man. He's one of those people that you just have to give him the right amount of distance. Like you
That's
can't,
it,
like
that's
you
it.
can't.
Just check in enough as his
Yeah.
friend,
Is
and
something
you know the
going
right
on with
amount.
him?
You're his
Actually,
friend.
like,
I have.
He's one of those people that needs friends, but it's just like text him, hey, you okay, man? Like make sure to
He's-
reach out if you need me.
It's like me and my good friend. He lost his dad to cancer. I lost my dad to cancer.
No.
He doesn't need me to be there that night, but he needs me to check in with him regularly because if I don't, he'll just not leave his house. And I'm the type of guy where he came over at 3 in the morning and then he didn't need to talk to me for the next 2 months. I needed to amend that moment, but the next 2 months, leave me the fuck alone. I got a lot of shit going on.
No, I mean, that's what I told Shady. I feel like he's like.
But
the-
we're friends. We know we
This-
need that from each other. You know what I mean?
'cause
Same as
sometimes
you
he's
guys.
asking me, like, have you talked to him? I'm like, dude, like, I just want to give him
Yeah.
a space. Like, I've been.
No,
there
I
before,
I'm
like,
worried about him because
I know.
we all have gone through it now.
Hey, man. Yeah,
so
I
it's
know,
like
hey, man.
it's a
we
rough
don't know
time.
What's going on?
Well, we
So
could tell you.
Yeah, not putting too much.
I
of
won't.
it
Oh, yeah, no.
His mom passed suddenly. She went home with some chest pain, and it was literally the next morning she was found
Oh,
dead.
really?
And they were trying to rule out a bunch of stuff. She was going through some rough stuff in her life at the time, but they're figuring out the whole situation. And yeah, no, he's one of those people that he
He,
needs friends, but he doesn't need.
he needs to get home and then
He
talk to
doesn't
you
wanna be
guys.
hounded, but
He needs to get back to his normal life, deal with what he's got to deal with. Then he'll talk to you when he's ready.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's
It is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same as you, Jers,
life.
that it's just like I need you right now, but then after that, like just give me my space, I'll figure it out on my own.
I'll come talk to you when I
Um,
need to get out of the house, type
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's the type person. Not unfortunately.
Closes off a bit.
He closes off a bit, but he needs.
I get
He
that.
needs you to check in on him.
Yeah.
You need to check in on him every week and just be like, hey, I know you're gonna beat yourself up.
Yeah.
You know, come
Everybody's
have some.
different,
Well, you
man.
can't go have fun together, but
you guys, you have to remember Shady too. Like I know, especially Scrub knows him extremely well. By now, is that he's the type of person that wants to bring like life and energy to everyone that he
Absolutely.
meets.
Yeah.
I know that's how he is.
And
I try to
like,
be that
for
way,
him,
and I
it-
can't
Yeah.
always get-
yeah, you can't fake it, man.
you
He's
can't-
just
you can't beat Shady
even in
with
real
no
life.
pain.
Yeah, even in real life, he tries to do that for everyone.
I can
And,
tell you.
Yeah, he just wants everybody to be their best, and he wants to make you the best, even if it's just through making you laugh. And
Pokemon?
you just don't want that shit to happen.
that's why I didn't mourn. I came home. My dad was in Florida. I flew down to Florida quickly to handle everything down there, and then we didn't bring his ashes back up, but when I got back home, I threw a party for all the family that was up here, and it was a fucking great party. I bought cigars,
What we
liquor.
did for my uncle.
We just enjoyed ourselves for a whole weekend. I was like, I'm open Saturday and Sunday. Everybody come. Friday was like my friends. Saturday and Sunday was everybody else.
We
I
did
was
that
like,
for my father, my uncle, and my one of my best friends. That
they're not
passed away
miserable,
last year.
then you know that what they want. They want you to enjoy yourself. They want you to drink, stick your face in some
Have a
titties.
good
Oh,
time.
well, you said cancer, right?
Mine was different.
Really?
Mine was long, drawn out, 8 years, five or six different.
So
cancers.
my mom was 20 years. 20 years of the same cancer. She had
Oh,
renal cell
okay.
carcinoma, so fucking kidney cancer.
So it was just a long battle.
Yeah,
She died
so
of
had it-
cancer, though?
Yeah, 5. So she had it 5 separate times. 4 of them, she all got through it. It was all good. And on the 4th one, right, she said, like, I'm not fighting it anymore. Like, it happens. When I get so sick that I have to go to the hospital, that's when I'll go, but I'm not going to fight it. Well, this motherfucker, which I love her to death, but this motherfucker decided, well, you know what? I'm not going to go get chemo and all the traditional stuff, but I'm going to fight it a different way this time. So
Natural
the last,
usually is the best way.
yeah, the last 2 years of her life was painful and
Yeah.
sucky.
See,
and
I have a
it was-
blessing in that way. My dad he went to ground zero after 9/11. Got 4 or 5 of the 6. I think there was 6 total. What did I say last time, Scrub?
I don't know.
Colon, prostate, kidney, bladder, esophagus. So he had half his colon removed first when he first got it. Then he had then he had prostate cancer. So he had that removed. Then it went into his bones, still prostate cancer. Then he got kidney. Then the kidney moved it into the bladder, but it became a different cancer, bladder cancer. Then his esophagus, so they had to pull his stomach up to here. 5 different open, and he was not a small dude. He was 300 plus pounds, and every surgery the doctor was like, this is not easy for us. This is a lot more work. Like, you're heavy. Like, you're a big dude. Even though you've lost tons of weight, yeah, they're like, every surgery is a big deal for us, and it goes from taking us 3 to 4 hours to 8 to 12, you know, and in the end, he died having a heart attack, taking a shit. So, in my way, I got to see him after his esophagus surgery, spend time down there. It was rough to watch him be on a feeding tube, but I separated from my wife, and I think that was kind of, he had always said, like, I want to make sure you're okay, I want to make sure your daughter's alright, and then after I officially was getting a divorce, officially had, like, whatever custody I wanted, shit like that, then he would, like, shortly after, it was just like his heart gave out. So, I don't know.
That's insane, man. I mean,
But then again, my buddy, who his dad had skin cancer on his head, and it went into his brain, within 3 months was done. So
I almost think, and this is coming from like a retrospective, you know, like what's happened in my life, is that I feel like almost a sudden death is a better death, and I would prefer
Facts,
that,
yeah.
where it's like
Yes.
something that you don't expect would be way better.
give
than something you're
yourself
expecting.
another 10 years, and you'll be looking back even more saying, thank God I had
I
those
used
20
to joke around
years.
with my ex-wife
You know what I
that the way
mean?
I was gonna die.
Like, thank God you got to spend
Was
those
crashed.
18 and somewhat healthy years with her. That's how I look at it. I had 8 years to know, and we knew after it went from his colon to his, and then his prostate, the doctor's like, this shit ain't gonna stop now. Like, the only thing we could do is keep it at bay, and it's a when can we keep it at bay till? And so at that point, we're like, I want this from the house, Dad. I want that. You know, we're joking. So we had our time to mourn ahead of time, I guess. I don't know. But I also wasn't young. I was an adult with a kid. I had a different perspective at that point on life.
I think what'll forever bother me is that, like, I will never have, like, you know, it's my stepmom, but really she was my mom. She was the person that, like, formed everything for me and my beliefs, you know, how I feel about what a mother figure should be. And unfortunately, what bothers me the most out of the whole situation is that my grandkids, since I don't have kids yet, will never meet her and never will know how much of a stubborn, conniving, sometimes southern goddamn bitch she was. They'll never know that about her.
Yeah.
They'll only know her from the positive, which I will, because I love her to death and she was one of the biggest influences of my life. I will never be able to be like, well, this is her. Nice to meet her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
What's
don't you'll think differently. You'll still think that. I only had how long ago did your mother pass away?
It's been it was 2 years.
Okay.
Or no, a year in November.
My
so
father's
it's
about
a
3 years
year.
in October, so it's the same thing. But I'm just like, I have a different perspective on life. I'm older. I've had enough shit happen that I caused my own problems that were caused by other people that are not acts of God. Just to be just like, I like the half full glass world that I see. I like the fact that I really do appreciate the fact that he died of a fucking heart attack. I really appreciate, even though the last 3 or 4 years were really weird, really rough, because he went through like the hormone changes and all that shit from the prostate, and because it went into his bones, they had to, not only did he not have his prostate, they had to pump him full of estrogen, because it still feeds on the, whatever the fucking, you know, old man, the PA level or whatever that's called. So
Did you just call me the old man?
yeah, I figured maybe you could help me with this. You look like you go to the doctor and get those things checked.
You get
But
the
I
little rub on the wrist.
when I do, I put myself in therapy because from the divorce and all this other shit, I'm a very, my emotions lead to anger much faster than anything else. And through that is my biggest fear in life is that I don't care if I die of cancer, I don't care if I die a slow, painful death. If this does not stay there, I fear myself getting angry and violent and shit like that towards the people I love. So that's where my head went. But anyway, through that type of shit, I with all the bullshit I talk about that I missed, the questions I didn't get to ask my father, all the conversations I didn't get to have, because now later on I'm like, oh, I wish I could talk to him about this. I wish I could talk to him about this. I value the fact that he was there as long as he was. That's the only good side of it, really.
That's how I feel when my stepfather passed. Yeah.
It took me a long time to get to the point where to truly accept, control what you can and don't worry about the rest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And once I got to that point and was able to do that, it really changed my life.
Yes.
It took so much off my chest.
Once I separated from my wife and I kind of like put my foot down in my life in general and said, okay, this is enough. I'm taking control of what I can do. You can't do this shit no more.
Yeah, you cut out everything.
I'm sorry. Once I separated from my wife and I said, okay, enough's enough. This is what it is. I'm not going to play fucking bullshit no more. I've been saying this forever. I'm doing my life and what I have to do and living my life, and you can go fuck yourself. You have your daughter still, but I have no, literally, there's no 3 years of this, and now there's no communication. Like, if something happens in school and my daughter has a project she has to bring back to my house to take to school, and my daughter does not remember it, my ex does not tell me. It's that crazy. But as soon as that happened, and as soon as I made my own decisions, as soon as I said, okay, I'm solely responsible for my home, I'm solely responsible for the roof, for raising my daughter and my home, all this shit, I now have more money than I know what to do with, and I haven't worked in 3 months. You know, like, I'm, like, everything good has come my way. The universe has said, here's your good karma back, you know what I mean? It's weird shit.
I mean, I understand that. And I totally
You
agree
got it.
with the counseling.
I can't
That's
wait for
something-
one day that you get out of the military and you like spend a couple years in the real world and be like, oh my god.
I don't know, man. I would strongly agree and disagree. The military gives you this cloak
want
of-
to. I wish I still could. I don't want to
Gives you this
exercise
cloak
as
of-
much as they force you to, though.
Yeah, right. And it's still an
Honestly,
issue
it's
of mine.
wonderful.
I could be a drone pilot because I could sit here like this.
But you feel so good.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you really do. Right now, I'm starting to realize that this whole Corona and working at the hospital and no gyms open. It's like, fuck, I need to go for a hike. I need to go for a fucking have a mountain.
I'm
bike,
just
I need to go
lazy.
for a ride,
I
something
still
like,
do it. I'm just don't want to.
Yeah,
When I'm doing it, I'm
Well,
like, I
trust me,
don't
the-
want to.
the
Now I'm doing it.
military-
Okay, let's do it.
does not increase the want to do that shit.
Oh.
It makes it worse because you're like, bro, I have to fucking wake up early as fuck, go at this time, do this. Dumb
Oh, I
shit.
at least get to do it at 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah. yeah. But I will say that like I agree with you 110% about the counseling aspect of it. And I feel like that's something that like is so left out about like male conversations is that we don't include that like sometimes you need fucking help, man. And that was
Yeah.
like the biggest thing.
It's
told
hard
Shane,
to
I said,
talk
like,
to
bro,
life about people with
Yes,
people that
hard.
know you as well, because
Yeah.
when I talk about my ex-wife, I have these thoughts. So I have a very dark place. I call it the dark place. It's actually my creative place and my imaginative place, but it's not very artistic. It's
Shower.
very dark. So I have run-ins with her where I genuinely think in my head I would give away every dime for the rest of my life of money that I make and have if I could just choke her to death in front of all these people. And it brings me joy, and that's the weird shit to me. That stuff is like, is this normal? Like, it brings me joy that I have these thoughts. So that's what I'd go for. But
And
we don't talk, like, death really is the only thing that I find as men, as guys,
It
we will
makes us
talk
open
about.
to each other, yeah.
We don't necessarily talk to each other about our girlfriend problems because that's life. We'll deal with it.
It's whatever, yeah.
But death, we definitely, for some reason, I don't know.
I think
don't
it's
know.
that. And there's the so there's a train of thought that actual why men are men and why we're like so big into things like
Says
the
men?
mass. Yeah, well, I say men because like what's the ideal of man? It depends on the person that you are, right?
Alpha
So, like,
males.
all
I'd say
four of us-
masculine, fucking leader, fucking
Yeah,
strong.
right,
It's
right.
just weakness. It's
No,
just,
no,
Weakness.
right,
you
yeah.
don't
So
wanna
we
be- it's a
You don't wanna be
weakness.
weak.
You just don't want to
Exactly.
expose yourself.
no, but that's what I'm saying. That everybody has their own like definition to a certain
Weaknesses.
extent, right?
Of course, yeah.
Is that like some people will say weakness is breaking down and going to watch a movie with your girlfriend, significant other, wife, right? A movie they
Yeah.
want to watch because it's going to expose emotion and you don't want to expose emotion, so you're not going to go. For me, it's like I don't like watching those because they're fucking boring,
Yeah, same.
right? And
Me
my
too.
wife's like, you just don't want to get upset and cry. I'm like,
No, it's
I've
fucking
never
boring.
cried during a chick flick. They're just
Yeah, same.
fucking boring.
They're boring as shit.
But for some of you, it might bring out
Bring
not
out
you
the
guys, but
Well,
and-
obviously,
I'll just
Jeremy's
watch 'em
already
'cause I'll-
exposed himself on that.
Yeah, I'll just watch it because I like movies, and if it's good, I'll
I'm
appreciate a
just-
good
I'm just
movie.
throwing-
I'm here for a good cry, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just here for a good cry.
But-
I
but
get
I'm
my
just throwing that out
popcorn and my
there.
blanket and just.
I know what Pack
If-
is saying though, like
But when I say that, the other reason why I don't want to watch movies that are emotionally invigorating, like American Sniper, for me, right, is
disagree.
because I think about the boys I've lost that have gone to Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't want to put myself in that predicament that makes me feel a certain way that it might not be upset, like I might not cry, I might not do anything like that, but I might yell at my wife, right? I might get angry because I'm more like you, Jers, where like I get
That's-
emotional and I get angry.
That's
Yeah.
how I am too.
Yeah.
I get
If I'm
sad when it's got to
crying
do with
broke down,
cancer,
The world is breaking.
or when it's got to do something with your kid.
Yeah.
Then I'll cry.
When
But
you're
my immediate emotions reacting to things is anger. But I do know that, and I smoke plenty of weed to control that. And but I've gotten in, yeah, I've gotten into situations where Amanda, we were at a bar one time, right? And there was some dude there that's the type of guy that like shouldn't have like that third beer puts him into another person's head, and he like thinks he's Jesus. And she's standing there, and she's like, he starts going, I know who the fuck you are. He literally thought he was Jesus. He's like, oh, my name's Jesus fucking Christ. You're a woman beater. And she's sitting next to me like, this my man. What the fuck are you talking? And she starts talking shit to him, and he like threatened to stab me and shit, but I kept my mouth shut because he was on the other side of the bar. He never took a step even closer. Like, he was 25 feet away and never moved closer. So I'm like, whatever. Like, if this guy comes to me, I have like 3 steps of power to put into my punch. You know what I mean? And she's like, I don't get it. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I said the second he threatened to stab me, I have a plan in my head to murder him in the bar. I'm like, he was like a 50-some-odd-year-old drunk man that hangs out in the bar. I'm like, I don't drink that much, even if I want to. Like, we were going to the bar, I hold my liquor, I drink beer, we're watching a game. I'll murder him. Easily. Like, and if he's waiting outside, even if he gets to jump on me, he better slit my throat, because I know that I've been in enough fights to know I'm not going to feel a quick stab. I'm going to lose some blood before I feel something. And she's like, what the fuck? I was talking shit. I'm like, no. After like going to therapy for like 3 months and figuring out how to explain, because that's where I started. The anger and the kid that I have still in here, you know? And I explained that shit to her, and she was like, really? I was like, yeah, you remember when we were at vacation and there was 6 kids that looked like probably like you, Kano? Like, they were walking around like on a spring breaky type of place, 6 friends from this area, probably hunt, probably 1 or 2 of them might have been in the military and just happened to get off that weekend, and they're walking down the street being like I was when I was young, assholes. And we were driving home, and she was talking, and like I told her my whole plan. Like, you were the young one that wasn't saying, the small one that wasn't, the short guy or whatever that wasn't saying nothing. I was like, that guy was not getting hit first. I'm like, or him and the tall one that was loud, or the one that was loud I didn't have to look out for. I had my plan. I knew which ones were dangerous and which ones weren't. You know? And she was like, really? I didn't even notice. I'm like, yeah, this is why I go to therapy. I'm like, because they were staying at the same place as us, and as soon as they went into there, my heart rate dropped. I went mellow. Like, I've never been in combat, but I can only assume that's similar to what that is. It's just fighting in the woods, never knowing who's gonna come in there and like block off the trail where you can't walk down anymore. Weird shit.
Man just compared that to comedy.
No, I'm just saying.
No,
The only thing I know is like the way your brain is geared from growing up a certain way or
Yeah.
doing certain things that my brain is I've gotten jumped and had my jaw broken when I wasn't doing nothing just because somebody was drunk. So I automatically sized up the situation, but she was like, "What?"
Life lessons will teach you certain things.
Yes.
And like for me, I didn't have a whole lot of them like growing up. I had a couple,
Mm.
you know, but
Same,
the military for me was that type of like, holy shit, I can fucking die right this second. And you have that like, I
And
don't
the
know,
world's
I had-
not
I
what
had
you
a-
really think it is,
I had
type
that
shit.
light-
The
like
big
that
thing
light
was when
switch.
my
And-
dad died and my buddy died.
yeah, I mean,
That
like
was what that
so.
was for me.
So for me, it's like, for instance, people talk about how you don't have PTSD from like
You won't
IBM,
know.
or
one
clicking a button from a drone, right?
You won't
little
know.
mouse thing, right? You won't know.
And it's your own type.
Now that I'm back, there's certain things for me where it's like something goes off in the background, like I'm out shooting and something's too loud, concussion hits me, and I'm like, huh. It brings me back to Afghanistan, and it doesn't bring back only bad moments. It brings back some of the best moments I ever had, where me and my buddy slam the door open and go look to see how the failing system with all of its tracer rounds are trying to shoot the round down, and it looks like fucking fireworks, and we thought it was the dopest thing in the world. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The fucking like that shit's just like.
Oh, that's the anti-missile system.
Yeah,
Shit,
dude.
that's
So
cool shit.
I have a story about deployment that like
Yeah,
I don't.
got a story before you got here in a little while too.
So I don't have any crazy ones where people are like, I got blown up, this, that, the other. I'm driving back. I have not a Hilux. It was a diesel Highlander. You know, like the 80s fucking like dope ass.
They got
ones.
awesome
And it was a
trucks
cross-
there, man. I wish you guys could
Oh,
bring
yeah.
some of them back.
Dude, it's fucking sick. It was stick. Like the 4-wheel drive worked like a beast. And I'm driving back. It's probably like the, I don't know, first month into deployment. And I'm driving by one of the failing systems, right? It's on my left-hand side. My aid station is like a couple meters up, like 100 meters up on my right-hand side. I'm almost there. I have my phone because, you know, you can't, like my phone, I couldn't fucking hook up to anything. So I'm like
you can
playing some,
record
like,
and shit.
like downloaded fucking iTunes shit. Playing it, just fucking driving. And
Jamming
dude,
out.
there's, so you know how like, I know you know fucking alpaca. Not fucking llamas. I keep on thinking of the llamas.
Philip.
Fucking no llamas here. But you know how like you usually the warning comes on right before the failings go off?
Yeah.
The warning didn't go off. And I'm driving right, like literally like maybe 10 meters to my left is the little fucking ESCO barriers with the failings. And I'm driving,
Oh, I
not
know-
thinking shit, and I'm like rapping like Migos are on or some dumb shit, and I'm rapping. And dude, the phalanx goes off, and that shit, like, if you could imagine, it
Sounds like an
1,800
A10,
rounds per
right?
minute.
It's an
Dude.
it's an ATAR, right?
It's
Yes.
50, it's
A
50
minigun.
cal, and it's like what 2,000 rounds a minute.
Yeah,
some
it's like 18.
stupid-
I think it's like 1,800. Dude, that
I'm
shit
thinking,
is the
I'm thinking of a C-RAM
loudest.
for whatever reason.
No, it is a C-RAM, but the phalanx
okay.
is the base ground version,
Oh,
not
I
the
know what you're,
Navy
I know what you're
version.
talking about. Okay,
It's,
okay.
it's part of the whatever Israel's using for their what's
Yeah,
it called, the
like
Iron
the
Dome
Patriot
or
missile.
the Patriot
Yeah, it's like
Dome
the
or whatever
Patriot
they're calling
missile
them.
and-
Ryan, remember the C-RAM from Battlefield?
Yeah,
On
yeah,
the
no, I know
ships?
exactly
That's
what they're
it is,
talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah, so it's like
I've seen
it's
enough
like
videos. I
2,000
read enough
rounds per
books,
minute.
dude.
Bro, that's the loudest. I think it's the reason why I'm deaf, mostly deaf in my left ear. That shit went off, and I literally accepted death in that moment. Like that shit like went off, and I can hear. So they hit the airfield like maybe like a couple hundred meters from me. Which I mean like 200-300 meters, so it's not that close. But I could hear, and then I hear. Like fucking like just both my eardrums are ringing, and I'm in that vehicle, and I like
Still
I just
driving.
died. No, I'm at a stop sign, so there's a stop sign right there, like
Oh.
right by the phalanx, and I just stopped. That goes off. I hear the rounds like.
Oh, man,
I'm
So
I
dead.
can never
I
understand what that
accepted
shit's
death.
like.
Like, so like from now on, it's just like this whole feeling where it's like where you're talking about death and all that stuff, and it's like I thought I was gonna die, even though like I said, the rounds weren't that close to me, but all that shit. To this day, I still hear shit that's super loud.
I can't
Even me, I'm
compare it to
playing the
that
game,
shit
and I'm
though.
like, Afghanistan. Like that moment, this shit's dope.
But you recognize it, right? You
No.
recognize how that feeling in your body, whether it was the aggressiveness or
at
just
the
the.
time, you don't realize the impact that it's having because
Yeah.
you're there. Like, so I was on a detachment. There was 9 of us. We ran an airfield, and we're in the middle of Baghdad, right? And this is a 25-foot tower in the middle of Baghdad. We're surrounded by tall buildings. And for the most part, like, you've heard about Route Irish. I've been down that a few times. It was relatively uneventful. A couple of pot shots, no big deal. You're in I can't remember the fucking name of it, but it's not it's an up armored vehicle.
You gotta get your haircut scrub.
And you're fine. You're basically running around Amber the whole time. No big deal. But for me, like the first 6 months I was there was relatively uneventful, and then July hit, and our airfield was mortared 152 times in the month of July. And it turns out one of these buildings across the way had a spotter on top, and every time we'd land an aircraft, they would mortar us. And so, and you know, that impacts you. By the time everybody's dealing with it, so you don't really get into your own feelings. You just deal with it. It's just life right now. That's just the way it is. Everybody's doing the same bullshit you are.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the coolest moments of my life was watching A-64s just tear that building apart once they figured out where the spotter was there. Like, watching those Apaches just fucking rip this building apart. It was amazing. But when I got back from Iraq, after my deployment was over, I was at my brother's house, and he had his alarm set work. And it was one of those alarms.
Yep.
Oh, that's the scariest fucking noise. I don't have anything to relate to that, but it scares the shit out of me.
The fucking wall.
Yeah?
From a dead sleep, I hit the fucking wall. And
I'm
my
saying,
wife is like,
you never know how anything's gonna. One day, you'll get into it, Kano. You'll figure it out.
I'm gonna show you guys the fucking. You prepared over there?
Oh, you were smart enough to record it?
No.
I was gonna say.
I mean, I could look back in Snapchat stories because, like I said, running some of the best memories I have. Running outside, trying to catch that failing. Looks like fireworks.
I've seen plenty of videos of it.
Bro, on Bath, there's like I want to say there's a total of 20 on that post, or well, not post, but fucking fob, or not even a fucking fob. The airfield itself. So there's, if you could imagine, I don't know, what would you say, like 6 square miles is what fucking Bath fills up. But there's like 20 of them. So like if they come in from one direction, there's like 5 shooting at it simultaneously. So if you could imagine like
and they all
5,
just follow it.
Yeah, and every other round's a fucking
Tracer.
A tracer. But let me play a video for you real quick.
That's close. Incoming.
Yeah, that's
dude. I just got chills. Oh, that shit's fucking.
Oh, it gets your adrenaline pumping still.
Dude, that's fucking.
Oh, that noise?
It brings you back, right? Yeah, that.
Oh, yeah, that brings you back. That takes you right back.
Yeah, it's kind of like
the scariest part was though is when they didn't pick it up on radar.
They didn't really have them a lot back then, though.
You.
They weren't as prevalent as they were back then, though, right? They didn't have shit like that all. They were developing that.
When I was in Iraq.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
how old were you when you went in?
I was 19.
When did you get out?
2011.
So there's still like fucking fobs out there and
That
cops
don't have shit like that.
Don't have shit like that.
Yeah.
So like one of my buddies, like I was telling him, like, yeah, man, we get mortared like every other day, twice a day when we do get mortared, 3, 4, like just depends on the day. The same shit that you're talking about, spotters. They would know if there was 3 or 4 planes landing a day on Bath, that's normal. But if there's 5 or 6, that's when they would mortar. So like incoming soldiers, outgoing soldiers, they'd mortar.
They're smart.
Not
Not
They are.
dumb.
I mean, they really are.
They haven't survived this long against us. 20 years against us, pushing the Russians out and still fighting us.
So my buddy had a video on his phone from his close friend. They're out. I want to say it was fucking Scorpion, Fob Scorpion in Afghanistan. And I think Hendricks would know, but they were out there with his phone outside the bunker, right? Like filming the actual like rounds hitting their fucking cop out there, or fob. I think it's Fob Scorpion. They're filming it, and this dude's phone gets hit with a piece of shrapnel. It just goes like spinning, fucking out of control, and it lands on the ground. and it's just like you can hear the continuation around, just like pow, pow, pow. Everything's like just like blowing up around them. They got hit with like there was like 2 rockets and like 6 mortars within the span of like 10 minutes. And it's just fucking nuts, man. Like I never had to deal with that. Like I said, I was on bath the entire time, so it's like nothing crazy happened to me. But I just like
Be happy
if
you
I
were.
yeah. But I think of like this shit happened to me, and I like there's certain things like that siren right there, that shit comes on, people's like alarms comes on, and it's like I think about it, but I'm able to come out of it. And there's people in this world
They
that had an
can't.
IED like blew up right underneath them, they lost their fucking leg, and I can only imagine if like what I deal with in strong quotations, which is just like a thought and like oh my
Don't
god,
diminish what you're dealing with though, because
well, I mean,
it may be your own personal health. You know what I mean? Or it might not
yeah,
be.
well, I mean, I think it helped me a lot to understand other people's PTSD, where they're like, "Oh, I only clicked a button to send a shot down on a drone."
But they
Well, it's got
also
to
get the
do,
realization that they killed people regardless.
yeah, and it's not like you killed
And
someone from face to
maybe they
face.
killed innocent people too, in the fact because
Yeah,
they were told to just drop a bomb there, not knowing who the fuck it was. But they see fucking 10 bodies scattered. You know what I mean? You never know. Maybe
have
you
to
get it
remember
because you
too.
gotta watch one of these fuckers die in the hospital.
Yeah,
It is what it
it
is.
happens though. But it's just kind of funny when you go out. Like I'm drinking. Like one of my close friends I was deployed with lives literally across the street from me, like rock throwing distance. We'll go over there and drink, and like almost every time we're drinking, it comes up the whole like fucking. You remember when we ran outside to go fucking film that shit? And it's like, there's an article from a New York Times journalist, and it's like, the love of war or something like that. And I
I
recommend for anybody to read
I don't
about
know
it.
if you see. I mean, these are not. I have about 5 stacks of book that big that are just from people that were active or whatever. Because I figured I had to find stuff to read when I was going through a lot of shit, and that was the only thing that kept my attention that I could actually burn through besides like the Hunger Games. Well, yeah, because I read Lone Survivor and American Sniper before they came out in the movies, and I was like, oh shit, I really like this stuff. I just kept going, so I have an idea. I don't know what the fuck it feels like, but when you're saying, I can picture it to a certain extent.
If you Google it, if I can find the link, I will. But it's like the love of war, which I'm sure fucking Alpaca you get a joy out of, and it talks about how the reason why soldiers love war,
Oh yeah, a
and
lot of them
it's this.
talk about. I might have even read that one for all I know.
It's something
I've
about
read
the
it, yeah.
simplicity of it. It's like kind of like playing Madura, right? Where you're talking about how like
It's like playing. The only I can relate it to like playing football. Like you're standing next to your boys. You may have a problem with. My dad was a volunteer firefighter. He worded it that way too. Whereas when they started getting women in the firehouse, it was not because they didn't like women, but it was because if she had to drag my dad, who was a big dude, out of a building, could she do it? Same thing. Like there was plenty of people he didn't get along with, and he made sure every time they were around they would argue, or whoever was arguing. But as soon as that bell rang, they were brothers, type shit.
yeah, no, it's I don't want to say it's the peace.
That's a different monster though. Military, firefighters, police.